In contrast to Soviet times, pride marches have been held in Ukraine since 2015. Police escorts are present thanks to President Volodymyr Zelensky's government, which backs free speech and assembly for the LGBT+ community. But the threat of a Russian invasion endangers that progress, says Freedom House.
Russia is one of the most repressive countries in the Eurasia region when it comes to LGBT+ rights. Legal persecution, intimidation, kidnapping, murders even, and other threats. Further Russian occupation of Ukraine could be devastating for these communities.
LGBT+ activists in Kiev don't plan to remain idle.
Many LGBT people and me want to join territorial defense. It's a group of people who are ready to protect our country, but these people are not military.
Even if war is averted, freedoms for the LGBT+ in Ukraine are limited, says activist Olena Shevchenko. She says tensions with Russia have overshadowed the LGBT push for equality, an uphill battle in Ukraine's parliament.
We are struggling to receive the anti-discrimination laws, hate crime laws, and then, of course, the marriage equality. Last year, for instance, that's more than 52 documented cases about the hate crimes towards LGBTQI people.
While denouncing discrimination, Sviatoslav Yurash, who co-chairs the Values Dignity Family group in Ukraine's parliament, has reservations about laws against hate crime.
I see the extremes of introducing so-called hate crime legislation and the result of that. And that is something that infringes fundamentally on both freedom of speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of conscience, freedom of association, and that is not something I want to see.
The power of religious groups can't be underestimated, especially when it comes to legalizing same-sex marriage.
Churches basically will be the instructor for this debate, because they are very much the progenitors of the idea of institutional marriage.
During a vigil in Washington, Ukrainian Catholic Church representatives said there is room for dialogue on LGBT rights if there is peace in Ukraine.
We need Putin to stop his aggression and withdraw his 100,000 troops from in front of Ukraine so that the country can evolve and develop. Without that peace, there's no possibility of anybody to develop any real discourse.
Rachel Ivanchuk identifies as a transgender female and has distant relatives in Ukraine. She hopes peace will prevail and encourages Ukraine's LGBT+ community to keep fighting.
Even here in America, there are so many state legislatures that are either resisting or trying to roll back rights that have been granted to the LGBT community. And it's just important to keep an eye on what is going on and to keep pressuring legislators and government.
Veronica, Balderas, Iglesias for VOA News, Washington.